Hi, this is Carrie from Scrapyard Chicks, and I want to bring you the first of our handmade photo ornaments for December the 10th. We're going to do 10 days of these, and so you get 10 little fun little different ones to do. This is what we're doing today. It's a little cube, and I hung some jingle bells from these. You can put a little 2x2 photo that's a 2x2 cube. This is one that I did last year. There's lots of different ways that you can finish these. The nice thing is you can use your scraps. You can use, it just takes a half a sheet of cardstock and just some scrap paper. Or if you're going to do one like this little one that I did, this one from, I put some bigger jingle bells on this. This is actually made out of a piece of pattern paper, and then I'm going to put my photos on the sides. So what I did is I just scaled my pictures down just so they're about 2x2 in size. Most of your photo editing software will do that. You can also do it in Publisher and in Word and then print those out. And then you're just going to put those on the sides of your cube. So this was last Christmas. We were in Idaho. So I just printed out a couple little photos, and I'm just going to put those on the sides. And I've got a great little memento to put on my tree. The top of this I truly went into my old Christmas embellishments. I have these Prima holly leaves that I've had for several years, never even opened until I went to put this together. So I did some holly leaves, some jewels, you can do jingle bells, you can go into your stickers, all kinds of different stuff. So there's lots of different things that you can do with these. And get out your punches, and we're going to do some circles and stuff on the side. So you do want to start with either cardstock or cardstock weight paper. You want a piece that's 8.5 wide by 6 inches high. And we are just going to put that in our score pal. You could use a ruler and a scoring tool if you want. You could use the scoring blade in your trimmer. We're going to score that at 2, 4, 6, and 8 inches. And we're going to turn that a quarter of a turn in our trimmer, and we're going to score that again at 2 and at 4. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to fold that along those score lines, because we need to use those score lines for some trimming. And then it just makes it a lot easier. So this is going to make a 2-inch cube. So as you're doing this, if you get off and you realize that your sides are off, you know what? Paper is cheap. I would recommend starting over, because you will get so frustrated trying to make that work. So we've got this piece that looks like this. You can kind of see how we're forming up into our cube. Then you're just going to cut this flap right here, this bottom one, and we're going to do the same with this top flap. So we just want to leave that middle, that little 1/2 inch piece. It should be a 1/2 inch by 2. We're just going to leave that middle one. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to trim in at these 3 spots along the bottom up to that next score line. And we are going to do the same thing with the top. We're going to leave the middle, because that's going to be the base of our cube. So we're just going to go like this along there. So what my plans for my little photo ornaments is, I have a tree that I decorate in my upper hallway every year, and I'm going to put all my photo ornaments on there. So I'll show you later the one we have coming for tomorrow. So then we've got our piece like this, and we are going to form that up into our cube. So what I want is, I want to put a piece of pattern paper on the top and the bottom. I'm going to leave 2 of my sides plain, and I'm going to put photos on 2 of my sides. So you can kind of decide how you want it to be. The nice thing is that you can use truly a tiny little scrap. This is just slightly smaller than a 2x2 inch piece. You can kind of see how that's going to fit onto one of my little flaps. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually glue the middle part of this close. We'll put the score pal up off to the side for a minute. I like to use a nice, strong liquid adhesive light for this. You could probably use hot glue if you wanted to do that. This would be a great project to do with kids. I wouldn't recommend glue stick, because I think it wouldn't hold very well, but you could definitely do a supervised hot glue. So we're just going to kind of glue that together, and then you can kind of go like this to make sure that it is formed evenly. Mine might be a little bit off, which, you know, shocking. I make lots of mistakes. People don't think that, but oh my goodness, so many different. So then what you don't want to do is you don't want to seal that close. You want that to be in a cube shape. And then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of trial fit the bottom and the top. You might need to do a little trimming on those flaps. And what we're going to do is we're going to pierce a hole. We're going to do a little dangle along the bottom. So what I did for this is the back side of my scraps. It's got this little snowflake pattern, so I cut 2 out of each pattern, and then this is about 8 inches of baker's twine, And I went ahead and just glued it between, I'm actually going to tie that, it's going to dangle from the bottom. Here you can see I dangled some jingle bells. So we're going to do is we're going to find the center, we're going to put a piece of pattern paper over that, and we're going to pierce a hole to put our brad through. We're going to do the same thing on the top. So the way to do that is you can draw an X on that center mark, on that the bottom flap, and then we're going to find that center, and we're going to do the same thing on the top. So I'll be back in a minute. I'll show you what that looks like when it's done. Okay, so what I did at the bottom is I drew an X, and then I pierced a hole through, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover that bottom flap with a piece of my pattern paper. So I'm just going to do a little bit of glue around the edges of that. You don't have to cover it with pattern paper, but I love all these cute little patterns. This is that new Basic Grey Jovial line, and I just finished getting my 10 pages of Christmas kits all together, and so I ended up with just a couple little scraps here and there, and these are truly tiny little scraps. I mean, most of the time I wouldn't even save a 2x2 piece, but for this little project it works out just great. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on the bottom. Sorry about that, I had to change my battery. So I'm going to glue that on the bottom. I'm just going to poke that hole through one more time, and then I'm just going to put a brad through that. And then we are going to tie our little bottom piece on there, but for now we're just going to go ahead and put a brad through that. And then I'm going to put liquid adhesive and glue all those flaps down, but I'm not going to show you that part on camera. So we're going to go ahead and do that at the bottom. On the top, we're going to do something a little different. I drew my X, but I'm going to punch a couple of holes like this because we're going to use a pipe cleaner or one of these great twisty stems like this for our hanger for this one. So I went ahead and punched those holes. Oh, you know what? I should have put my pattern paper on there first. Then I'm going to go ahead and glue my pattern paper on there, and I'm going to re-punch those holes. I'm going to glue all that down. So let's get this dude on there. You could probably use dry adhesive for this step if you wanted to, because what I don't like to do is use dry adhesive for the construction of the box because it tends to pop open. I find that even red tape, that red super tape, doesn't really hold very well. Ugh, the Crop-A-Dile. So frustrating when the little pieces get stuck in there. So anyway, we've got our little holes like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pipe cleaner, I folded it in half, and I'm going to thread it through like this from the inside, so that loop is on the inside. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue all my flaps down. So my box is all glued closed like that. And then I'll be back and I'll show you our finishing techniques. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got our little cube. I've got, I went ahead and glued my flaps down with some liquid glue, and I've got that little brad on the bottom. I went ahead and put some photos on the sides. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie my little snowflake dangle onto the bottom so I can just kind of pull that up a little bit and kind of fit my baker's twine around there, maybe. And then I can kind of adjust how long I want it to be, because I want them to be sort of different lengths, because I think that would make it a little bit more fun. So I can just kind of wrap that around a couple of times, and that's just kind of going to hang down like that. And then for the sides, I took a 2-inch circle punch, and I just punched out a couple of scraps. I'm going to go ahead and glue those onto the sides like this. I'm just going to use some regular dry adhesive for that. I don't need to use my liquid. If I just have my liquid out, that would be fine too. Make sure that if you've got words on your stuff, you've got them going the right way. This Basic Grey paper all has little words on it, and I'm forever worried that I'm going to put it on upside down. So I just punched out a couple of circles out of coordinating paper just to kind of make it funky. And I'm just going to go ahead and put those on. Now what I've got is I've got a bunch of different kinds of sticker letters. I want to put the date on here. So I've got these little October afternoon stickers. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use those right along in here to put on 2009. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. Oh yeah, they don't always want to come off. So you can go ahead and put those along one side. And then on the other side I'm going to put Brittany's initial. Obviously it's a B. So I've got some, you know how you end up with thickers and you have just a couple letters here and a couple letters there. One of my favorite sets is these really cool red ones. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a B off of that, and I'm just going to put that right there on the other side of my little ornament. Now for my top, I'm just going to twist it together like this. And then I can make it into like little spirals, however I want it to be, or I could just cut it off. So it would just kind of make it fun, kind of reminds me of the Grinch Who Stole Christmas with this cute paper. And then I can just hang that from my tree, and I've got my great little dangles. And this is totally Brittany's personality. Funky. She likes color. She likes black. She's got, we've got pictures of her playing Guitar Hero last year at Christmas. So just really a lot of fun. So this is our little ornament. So I finished up my Christmas in Idaho ornament with some little photos on each side. And then here's one I did from last year. So you can see lots of different ways that you can do these. It's just a really, really fun little project. I hope you enjoy this. Our ornament for tomorrow is going to be this really cute little fold out. It's a little circle. And so we are going to work on that tomorrow. So we'll see you back tomorrow with Scrapyard Chicks. Thanks very much and Merry Christmas.